In today's society, it is not hard for us to encounter people who are wealthy in material terms, affluent in life. Yet there are still people who, despite being wealthy and noble, living a life of kindness and benevolence, still encounter unexpected misfortunes that no one can explain. Seeking an answer named karma acts as a delicate fairness that this universe always silently operates. Each action we take, each word we let loose, even each thought flashing through the mind is a seed. These seeds do not disappear. They fall into the invisible soil of time and consciousness, silently germinating when we least expect it. There are good seeds born from compassion, from a look of empathy, from a hand reached out at the right time, and another is sinking in hardship. Those seeds, even if the results are not immediately seen, are still silently growing in the invisible realm. There are other seeds born from anger, pettiness, selfishness, which we think we have forgotten, but they never disappeared. When the conditions are sufficient, they will bear fruit. The universe owes no one. If today you receive something good, it is because you once sowed love. If today you stumble into adversity, please do not rush to blame, because who knows, that might be the moment an old seed is bearing fruit to end a cycle of old karma. I once met a middle-aged woman living simply, who spent her whole life only knowing how to do good deeds. She was not rich in money, but rich in heart. Wherever she went, she left traces of love. Yet her life was full of contradictions. Her child was sick, her husband died early, and she had to shoulder so many burdens alone. Once while talking, she choked up and asked, "Why do I live so kindly, but suffering keeps finding me?" I didn't answer her with reason. I just looked into her eyes and said gently, "There are bad seeds you didn't sow in this life, but perhaps you unintentionally sowed from a place very far away, so far that memory cannot reach. And just as the land needs rain and sun to sprout, what you are enduring might be the moment old karma is ripening so that you can be purified and have a lighter burden for the future." She fell silent, her eyes still misty with tears, but since that time she never asked that question again. She continued to live kindly, but did not demand that life repay her immediately, and strangely, in the years that followed, her life gradually brightened. Her sick son recovered, his job stabilized, and her heart felt as light as if it had never known storms. One thing to remember is that no one, not even your most loved ones, can carry karma for you, just as no one can eat for you to make you full. Karma is something each person must go through, must learn from, and must feel in order to understand and liberate themselves. There are times when good people still have to pay off karma, but the important thing is, in what mindset do they pay it? Some people feel resentment and sow more bad seeds. Some smile peacefully before the challenge, and thanks to that, cut off a cycle of reincarnation full of pain. A person living with an understanding of karma will not be demanding. They are patient like a gardener. They know there are trees that take 3 months to bloom, but there are trees that must wait 3 years to bear fruit. But no matter how long, if the seed is good, the result will always be peaceful. This life is not a competition of who is richer, who is more powerful. It is a garden of karmic force, where everyone is planting through their behavior, thoughts, and way of living every day. You may be poor today, but if you live kindly, you are planting blessings. You may be lonely today, but if you keep your heart gentle and loving, you are sowing good affinity for the future. And if today you are in pain, don't think it is meaningless. That could be the day an old seed is sprouting to enter its ending phase. Just like the soil never chooses the seeds people sow into it, it only knows how to nourish. The universe is the same. It favors no one. Whoever sows whatever will receive that. Though slow, it is never wrong. One of the things that makes humans easily doubt karma, seeing good people suffer while bad people enjoy pleasure. But karma is not a short-term balance sheet. Some people enjoy wealth today because they are using up a portion of their old blessings. But if they are silently sowing unwholesome causes, that retribution is being held back for the right moment to appear. Conversely, a person suffering today may be paying off old karma in installments, and the good deeds they are doing are transforming their life slowly, like a piece of dry land gradually welcoming the rain. All comparisons are unnecessary because everyone carries within themselves a different stream of karma, and the time for fruit to ripen is also different. The only thing we should do is return to ourselves, take care of our own garden of consciousness so that it is bright enough, wholesome enough, and clean enough. In the years of living slowly to observe life, I realized a profound thing. A person with a bright mind, no matter what the circumstances are, the path will eventually brighten accordingly. The mind is like a lamp illuminating the way for one's own life. The beginning section may be dim and full of potholes, but if the lamp stays lit and is carefully preserved every day, soon you will see the road open up and become much easier to travel than before. A person who knows how to sow good heart is like someone lighting a lamp every day, not to show off the light to anyone, but to walk more steadily through the turns. Meanwhile, people living with a selfish mind are like those holding a lamp to shine for others, but forgetting that they themselves are walking in darkness. In the end, that light cannot save them, but only entangles them in the reputation of superficial goodness. Inside they have been tired and hollow for a long time. Living with blessings is one thing. Knowing how to keep blessings, knowing how to nurture blessings is the more important thing. There are people born with assets, family background, and status, but using them to hurt others is no different than taking money from blessings and spending it wastefully. When their pockets are empty, they realize their life has also run out of meaning. Then there are those who do not have much wealth, but every morning they do a small good deed like smiling, giving up a seat, forgiving a mistake, sympathizing with something incorrect. Those things that seem trivial are actually wholesome seeds accumulating silently day by day, and then will give them a field full of flowers and fruits in the future. Have you ever seen an old woman sitting and folding each dried lotus leaf to make paper fans to gift to children? Have you ever seen a janitor silently collecting each bag of trash in the middle of a rainy night without a word of complaint? Or a mother patiently wrapping each portion of rice for the homeless every weekend afternoon? None of them are famous, none are on television, but they're sowing seeds of unconditional love, a noble blessing that no amount of money can buy. Live slower, and you will see that life is not measured by success, but measured by how we are present in the smallest things. Doing a good deed does not require waiting for a big occasion. Just stepping out onto the street today with a lighter heart than yesterday is already a type of goodness. Just by not letting the bad things in life drag you down, not letting your heart become a stagnant pond of resentment, You are opening up a path of peace for yourself. Some people misunderstand the law of karma, thinking it is the hand of justice coming down to punish. But actually, karma does not carry the nature of punishment. It is a natural reflection, like an honest mirror before our own actions, thoughts, and choices. You speak pleasant words, the mirror will reflect a peaceful face. You harbor a bitter heart, the mirror will reflect the distortion in your eyes. Karma does not punish you. Rather, you create the reaction from what you emit. Like sound echoing in a mountain cave, you shout, "I hate life." You will hear the echo, "I hate life." But if you whisper, "I am grateful to still be present," you will feel gentleness quietly seeping into every living cell of yours. And then one day you will realize that everything we encounter in life is not to reward or punish, but to teach us to love more deeply, to teach us to endure, teach us to stop being arrogant, teach us to know how to let go. Maybe you won't see the results of living kindly right away. Maybe you still have to swallow tears during long nights. Maybe you still have to walk on roads full of gravel. But if you keep your faith in karma, you will be different. You still live with benevolence. Even if others don't understand, you are still kind. No matter how life treats you, that very faith will be a peaceful harbor. When all the storms out there have subsided, that faith will keep you standing firm when you have nothing left but a heart that has been broken many times, but has never been stained. And when you are patient long enough, you will see something truly miraculous. Every suffering in life is a root segment growing deep down so that your tree of blessings can rise up more strongly. This world may praise the talented, the rich, the prominent, but this universe listens to those who silently sow good causes. You don't need anyone to applaud your kindness. You just need to know that every act of kindness you do today is becoming light for the path of tomorrow. And then when you reach a certain segment of the road in life, you will find yourself standing in the middle of a field full of flowers, where there is no more pain, no more torment, only gentle peace covering you. That is not a miracle. That is your good cause finally blossoming. Not everyone who lives gently is loved by life. Not everyone who is generous is reciprocated with kindness. So there are times we are confused, times when the human heart sways amidst questions with no clear answers. I didn't do anything wrong. Why does heaven treat me like this? Why is that person cruel, but still fully affluent? Does karma really exist? Or is it just comforting words for the weak? I have heard those questions, not only from people in the world, but even from those very close, very kind, very respectable. And the thing I learn does not lie in available answers, but lies in the way people continue to live after that suffering. Imagine you are walking in a forest, your arms full of flowers. You chose beautiful flowers. You didn't trample, didn't pick indiscriminately, didn't harm the forest. But then suddenly a thorn from somewhere pierces your foot. You turn back in anger, asking yourself, why do I live so beautifully but still get hurt? But you don't remember that in a time very far away, when you didn't understand yet, you unintentionally broke a small branch in this place and left that thorn behind. Likewise, there are things we did a very long time ago in some past life or simply in our youth, when we were not yet awakened, that only now do we see the retribution. That is not injustice. That is a profound reminder of karma, that everything we go through has roots, only we cannot remember where it began. There was a man named Ho living very gently. He wasn't rich, but had a compassionate and honest heart. If anyone owed him debt, he didn't demand it urgently. If anyone was sick, he helped with what little he could. Yet some time later, he had a severe accident, lost a leg, his business collapsed, and his family was in dire straits. He began to doubt what crime he had committed for life to be so cruel, until one day he went to the temple and coincidentally heard a monk tell a story about seeds in the ground. The monk said there are rice seeds that are harvested just one season after sowing. There are lotus seeds that take several years. There are pine seeds that must endure the cold, endure the freezing wind before they agree to sprout. But all are living, rooting, and moving silently in the darkness. Ho sat for a very long time after that Dharma talk. Then he went home and no longer held resentment. He accepted living slower. A year later, he learned a handicraft. 3 years later, his small workshop helped many disabled people have jobs. He stopped asking life why and started asking himself every day, have I lived kindly today? That was when the good fruit began to ripen, not nosily, not hurriedly, but silently and enduringly. We often expect karma to be an easy-to-understand math problem. Do good and meet good, do bad and meet bad. But reality is much deeper, because we are not only living in a current stream of karma, but are also being influenced by layers of past karma. Sometimes you live kindly for 10 years, but the bad karma from 10 past lives is still stirring, not yet fully paid. Just like you just planted a new flower garden, but storms from distant forest still blow in. Because years ago you once burned the forest, which you no longer remember. The problem doesn't lie in why there is still suffering, but whether that suffering helps you become brighter. Suffering is not to crush you, but for you to understand the profound layers of meaning of human life. From there, live kindly not for a reward, but because it is the right thing to do. You may see good people suffering from illness, loss, or being misunderstood, but don't rush to be heartbroken for them, because maybe they are walking through suffering to clear the way for blessings to manifest. They do not suffer because of the good causes they sowed. They suffer because layers of old dust are falling off so that the good causes can be revealed more fully. A candle must burn down its shadow for the light to be clear. A tree trunk must break its old branches for new shoots to emerge. So when you see a person living well but life still challenges them, understand that it is not a punishment but a process of transformation. They are carrying old karma, but they are walking on the most beautiful path, the path of compassion, patience, and awakening. There are retributions that do not arrive with no's. They arrive with silence in the mind, with deep changes inside you, as if you are no longer easily angered, no longer want to compete, no longer need many compliments, no longer feel pain from being misunderstood. You start to live lighter. That is a fruit of blessing. You know how to forgive faster. That is a fruit of blessing. You no longer suffer over small things. That is a fruit of blessing. Not all good fruits are money, fame, or health. There are good fruits that are spiritual maturity, steadfastness in the heart, and the ability to go through suffering without collapsing. And only when you understand that will you stop comparing yourself with life. In a world that is too pragmatic, people living with virtue and heart are sometimes seen as foolish. But you are not wrong. You are just walking on a path chosen by few because it demands patience, courage, and an inner self full of light. Don't doubt yourself because of the bitter fruits of today. Don't forget that you are going further, deeper, and more enduringly just because you see others moving faster. Every good deed you do is a seed waiting for the right season to bloom. Don't rush it. Don't resent it. Just keep walking. Keep advancing. Keep your heart pure. And there will be a day you stand amidst a field of flowers and understand that all suffering was once the soul, the water, the sun to create the colors and scents of today. Have you ever asked yourself why there are sufferings not caused by us that we still have to bear? Why are some people born suffering disadvantages, while others are fully provided for? If you are silently bracing yourself amidst the injustices of this life, perhaps old karma silently bearing fruit. A man born into a poor family worked hard for 35 years, but still could not change his life. He always believed that heaven was unfair, until one day he heard a Dharma lecture talking about reincarnation and karma. In it, the lecture told that there are people who in past lives lived heartlessly and selfishly, only knowing how to hoard for themselves, causing many people to fall into misery. Even though they don't remember in this life, karma still records it. He was suddenly stunned. From then on, he no longer blamed fate, but started living kindly, cultivating virtue, just because he understood what is called coincidence. Actually, it is just karmic fruit ripening after myriad lives. There are sufferings that come to us for no reason. We do nothing wrong, so no evil with anyone, but injustice still rushes in. Sometimes it is clinging poverty, sometimes persistent illness, sometimes loneliness amidst familiar crowds. Then we ask, why me? We resent heaven, blame people, get angry at fate. But if once we stop to calm our minds and contemplate under the light of the Dharma, we will realize that everything happening in this life is a result of things we once did in myriad past lives. The Buddha taught that no drop of water falls without leaving a trace. No seed is sown without bearing fruit. Causes and conditions and karmic force are two invisible ropes binding sentient beings to reincarnation. This body, this scene, this suffering are not random. All are fruits ripening from causes we once sowed in the past, sometimes from this life, sometimes from lives forgotten, sometimes from measureless lives never recalled. And whether we believe it or not, karma still silently operates, not waiting for us to be enlightened to activate, not waiting for us to understand to return the fruit. This life is where all debts converge. There are material debts, debts of gratitude, debts of vengeance, debts created by body, speech, and mind. There are debts created by ignorance, by delusion, by desire. There are karmas that were accidentally sown when the mind was not yet straight, the intellect not yet bright, the heart not steady enough to see that a wrong thought arising would lead us astray into lives of reincarnation. And now we are carrying on our shoulders what we ourselves once let go of and sowed. So don't ask why we suffer, ask what we have sown. Don't ask why that person does evil but still lives happily. Understand that karma has its time, fruit has its moment. Trees do not grow in the same season. There are seeds that ripen immediately, seeds that are silent, seeds sown today, paid in this life, seeds that must wait 3 lives later to have enough conditions and soil to bear fruit. Everything is recorded by the wisdom of the universe, not deviating by an inch, not missing a single thought. Each person born into life carries an invisible baggage, which is karmic force. And depending on that karma, each person will have a fate, a circumstance, a different journey. A person facing adversity is not being punished but is paying. A person receiving peace is not being rewarded but is harvesting. And all are created by us ourselves, not granted by any deity, not imposed by any fate. Knowing this, we no longer complain. We start to live with a different mindset, not running from karma, not fearing karma, but being grateful to karma because it reminds us to live awakened, live kindly, live responsibly with every arising thought, every word, every small action, because who knows, just a thought today might be the reason we have to return to the mortal world for another life. Suffering is not something to fear. The fearful thing is that we don't know why we suffer and continue to sow causes that make us suffer more. Understanding karma is not to imprison ourselves in fear, but to begin the journey of liberation through awakening, through letting go, through practice, and through love for the very people who once made us suffer. Because who knows, they might also be paying debts like us. And that is where the lesson begins, not from the outside world, but from within the mind. Not tomorrow, but right now, and every breath you are living. A layperson asked a Zen master, if everything is determined by karma, is there anyone who can avoid? The Zen master replied, no. No one can avoid it, just like a person throwing a stone into a lake. Even if the water's surface is not seen, the stone will still sink. Karma is the same, sown, it will be met, not lost by wish. That saying made him suddenly awaken, because now he understood that karma does not discriminate against anyone, whether rich or poor, intellectual or commoner, precisely because no one can avoid it. Only practice can transform the karma one has created. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha once taught that sentient beings are owners of their karma, heirs of their karma, born of their karma, live supported by their karma, and die following their karma to be reborn. Karma is not a destiny imposed from the outside, and certainly not the punishment of any deity. Karma is exactly what we have thought, said, and done, engraved in consciousness, accumulated from measureless lives, then operating like a flow, silently leading each life. A wholesome thought arising is already a good seed sown in the field of the mind. An unwholesome action, no matter how small, is a cause forming a fruit of suffering. All that we create through the three karmas of body, speech, and mind does not disappear. It falls into the storehouse of consciousness, growing and ripening over time. Then when conditions are sufficient, it bears fruit. Just like a seed sown in the ground, it may sprout right in the next season, or it may sleep through 3 seasons of spring and summer, but it is never lost. Humans cannot run away from karma. Whether climbing high mountains, going down to the deep sea, hiding in empty forests, or living in the middle of a city, karma follows, like a shadow follows form, like sound follows speech. Karma goes with us through each life. This body is the fruit of karma. This mind is a result of karma. The scenes we encounter, the people we love, those who hurt us, opportunities coming or disasters striking are all due to karma. Nothing happens without a cause. No one comes and goes without bringing a karmic connection. People often mistakenly think karma is only bad things, represents suffering. But actually, karma has both wholesome and unwholesome aspects. Some people are born intelligent, gentle, with favorable conditions for practice. That is the fruit of good karma once sown. Some people in this life live morally, help people, make merit, but still encounter many misfortunes. It is not because this life is wrong, but because the fruit of old karma is ripening, while the cause of present goodness is still germinating for the next life. People who do not understand karma live giving up, blaming heaven and people, dissatisfied with fate. People who understand karma know that everything happening is an opportunity to pay, to learn, to practice, and to be liberated. No complaining, no begging, just living with mindfulness and responsibility, not hiding, not blaming. Because the more you run, the more karma chases. Only when looking straight, accepting to live kindly, does karma dissolve. Like clear water where trash doesn't stick, a pure mind has no door for karma to enter. Why does no one escape karma? Because no one escapes themselves. Karma is the shadow of our own selves, the footprint of every arising thought. The universe is feedback for what we once sent out. Whether unintentional or intentional, karma records without missing a speck, like a mirror clearly showing every face. Karma reflects back to us exactly what we have done, no more, no less. Understanding karma is not to live in fear, but to live with right view, knowing to create right things, keeping the mind pure to do good deeds, because he who sows good causes will reap good fruits. He who corrects old karma through practice will transform his whole life, and when awake enough to live in every moment, we will cease creating new karma, leaving only the journey of resolving karma and stepping toward the true peace of our own mind. That is the path the Buddha walked, and the path each person can walk if they have enough vow power and wisdom. A woman miserable in marriage, with an ungrateful husband and unruly children. She once resented her fate, thinking she didn't deserve to be treated like that. But in a summer retreat, when hearing a Dharma talk about karma of 3 lives, she shed tears. She remembered that in her youth, she once abandoned a lover when they were in misery, once caused her parents pain by living unruly. She understood that karma is not lost, but just hasn't arrived yet, and now she is re-experiencing the emotions others once endured because of her, to learn the lesson of compassion and atone through awakening. Not everyone believes in reincarnation, and certainly not everyone accepts that what they are enduring in this life is the consequence of behaviors in measureless past lives. But the Buddha taught very clearly, if you want to know the cause in the previous life, look at the fruit in this life. If you want to know the fruit in the future life, look at the cause in this life. That saying is like a lamp shining into the night of ignorance, pointing directly for us to see that every circumstance, every relationship, every suffering or happiness we are experiencing is not random, but a continuation of the chain of karma. Throughout many lives, some people are born already living in wealth. Some open their eyes in extreme poverty. Some easily find love. Some feel unloved their whole lives. Some make a little effort and achieve success. Some struggle 100 times, but always stumble. If we look at those things with worldly eyes, we will think it is fate, luck, or injustice. But if looking with the wisdom eye of the Dharma, we will see clearly that is the retribution of karmic forces accumulated from many lives and generations. And today is the time it ripens and bears fruit. Some people are bullied, made to suffer, and betrayed by others all their lives without understanding the reason. Some people always fall into bitter relationships, Just loving brings suffering. Just getting close brings cracks. Those things are not random. That could be old karmic affinities returning. Sometimes we did the same thing to someone in a certain life, and now we are meeting them again. Not for hatred to continue, but to pay off completely, learn thoroughly, and let go lightly. Life is a stage of meetings with reasons, and the script of our life is largely written from the causes we once sowed. Many people wonder why evil people still live happily, while gentle people suffer disadvantages. Buddha did not teach us to look at a moment to judge a whole life. A person sowing evil karma today, but enjoying good fruit, is because the blessings of past lives have not yet run out. Just as a person sowing good causes today, but still meeting tribulation, is because the old evil karma is still bearing fruit. Karma is not punishment, but the universe's adjustment for everything to return to balance. We can evade worldly laws, but can never evade the law of karma. The truth is, karma does not need us to remember. It still comes when conditions are sufficient. Maybe in this life we no longer remember hurting anyone, abandoning anyone, or how we sowed enmity. But karma never forgets. It lies dormant, waiting for the right time, right circumstance, right person, and silently appears. It can return in the form of a disaster, a bitter love affair, a painful loss, or a series of adversities that seem absurd. But if we look at it with an awakened mind, we will realize karma comes to help us repay, not to make us collapse. Understanding this, we will live differently. We no longer ask, why is this happening to me? But we'll start asking, what should I learn from this? We don't blame the person causing us pain. To know that maybe we were the ones causing pain to them before. We don't run away from adversity, but accept it as part of the journey of dissolution. Because when we see the deep roots of suffering, we no longer hold on, no longer tight, but know how to let go and live more peacefully amidst the uncertain flow of life. Nothing is meaningless. No tear falls without being recorded in the flow of karmic retribution. No sigh is superfluous. Every hindrance, every letting go, every forgiveness is every time we are gradually paying off old debts, lightening the baggage of reincarnation, and stepping closer to the true liberation of spirituality. That is the path the Buddha walked. And if we have enough faith, enough awakening, we can also walk on that path, starting from the clear understanding that what we endure today may be the result from myriads of lives. A man was once very successful in business, but suddenly went bankrupt after just one night because of being scammed out of everything. After the shock, he fell into depression, living like a soulless person. A friend took him to a temple to hear the Dharma. There, the abbot told a story about a person who once lived dishonestly, cheating the assets of the weak in many lives. In this life, that money bore fruit, but also came the time to pay it back. He was stunned. From then on, accepting to start over with honest business, helping the poor, because he knew that money is a debt that can be born from greed, but only blessings can keep it for a long time. Money comes and goes, wealth is born and then destroyed, thought to be a common occurrence in impermanent life. But with the eyes of a person studying Buddhism, wealth is not only a means of livelihood, but also a concrete manifestation of karmic retribution from myriad lives. People born into wealth and abundance. People forever living in shortage and debt. People earning however much that flows through their hands like water, All are not outside the law of karma. Karma regarding wealth is one of the deepest types of karma because it is attached to greed, one of the three roots of reincarnation. Some people in past lives knew how to give charity, help people, and were not greedy for wealth. So in this life, they are born with plenty, not worrying about lack of food or clothing. Some people once stole, appropriated, deceived in trade, used tricks to gain illicit profits. So in this life, they carry a debt karma. However much they work, it is lacking, struggling all their life, but still not having enough. Some people owed others wealth, did not repay or destroyed others' property, causing people to fall into misery. So in this life, they have to pay back through corresponding forms: accidents, loss, being scammed, or being born carrying a burden of unjust debt. But material debt does not only lie in external loss, but also is a feeling of binding, anxiety, and constant insecurity in the mind. There are people living in perpetual poverty, hearts always afraid, not daring to spend, not daring to live, always feeling like they're carrying something very heavy. That is a sign of deep karma from money. Even if earning a lot externally, inside they still don't feel it's enough. The more they try to hold on, the deeper they're swept into suffering, because money does not come naturally to those with unclean greed, unawakened minds, and intellects unclear about the principle of karma. Understanding that wealth is a karmic fruit, we will no longer be jealous of the rich, no longer despise the poor, nor complain. When falling into shortage ourselves, we know that everyone is harvesting fruit consistent with what they have sown. Those with enough blessings have it. Those out of blessings lose it. Having blessings to enjoy, but not knowing to continue sowing will eventually see them dissipate. Having no blessings, but wanting to enjoy means having to borrow, and borrowing means having to pay. That is the cycle of reincarnation, not only birth and death, but also in every coin, every material debt. People studying Buddhism do not avoid money, nor do they worship it. They understand that money is a means, a karmic fruit, and an opportunity to sow new causes. If poor, do not complain, but know how to live purely, fully from the heart. If rich, do not be arrogant, but know how to share, give charity, use money to create blessings. In Buddhist teachings, blessings are not a fixed asset block, but an invisible energy source that can grow or deplete depending on how we use it. When we know how to use blessings to help others, we not only benefit life, but also cultivate 9 parts of our own blessings. That is the natural law of karma. Sincere sharing never depletes good blessings, but on the contrary, helps them become deeper and thicker. Many people still have the wrong concept that blessings are like a treasure chest. The more you use, the emptier it gets. However, in Buddhism, blessings are not finite things, but can multiply from giving, from compassion, and good deeds, just like a lamp that never goes out. When lighting other lamps, our blessings will never be depleted when we know how to plant more good blessings for life. A person with many assets, but living selfishly, not knowing how to help anyone, only worrying about hoarding for themselves, is no different from a covered well. Eventually, it will run dry. Conversely, a person who knows how to open their heart, helping others with both material and spiritual means, will be like a stream flowing forever, the water never running out. When we take the good blessings you have to share, we are creating a flow of goodness in the universe, and that very flow will return to nourish us in ways we do not expect. In the Anguttara Nikaya Sutra, the Buddha taught that there are three most noble types of giving: material giving, sharing material wealth; Dharma giving, sharing wisdom, correct teachings; and fearlessness giving, bringing peace, lack of fear to others. If we have wealth, let's use it to help those in difficulty. If we have knowledge, let's transmit it so others can also be enlightened. If we have compassion, let's use it to soothe the pain of sentient beings. When we do those things, we not only help life, but also help ourselves accumulate merit, creating a foundation for long-term happiness. There is a Buddhist story about a rich but stingy man who spent his whole life only knowing how to keep possessions. When he passed away, those immense assets did not help him take anything along except emptiness and regret. Conversely, there was a poor man who spent his whole life always doing good deeds, even if just helping with a meal or a word of comfort. When he passed away, he was reborn into a good realm, enjoying a peaceful life thanks to the virtuous merits he had sown. That story is a lesson for us. Blessings do not lie in the amount of money we possess, but in the way we use it to bring benefit to life. So know how to share when you still can. Don't wait until you have a surplus to help, because kindness does not require being rich to be performed. A smile, a good word, a kind gesture is also a way to sow blessings. When we know how to live for others, we not only beautify life, but also accumulate beautiful good affinities for ourselves. Finally, sharing is not just an action, but also a life attitude. When we view blessings as a forever flowing stream rather than a storage warehouse to keep privately, we will live in true peace and richness. Richness in the soul, in love, and in endless blessings. To speak of Buddhism is to speak of the law of karma and karmic retribution, a principle where human beings must take responsibility for their own actions. It is not determined by deities. Human beings are born into this world different in every aspect, such as some being beautiful while others are ugly, some rich while others poor, some healthy while others disabled, some intelligent while others foolish. All are governed by the law of karma across many past lives up to the present and extending forever into future lives. The law of karma covers all things. Because they do not understand the teaching of karma, many people chase after fame and material wealth, fighting, slaughtering each other, causing blood to flow and heads to fall, creating much evil karma only to receive evil retribution. People who believe and understand the law of karma and retribution never seek happiness for themselves in a greedy, selfish, or cruel way. They always sow wholesome causes, benefit everyone, and devote all their heart and strength to serving all sentient beings. Whether our life is happy or suffering is created by us ourselves. Thanks to understanding this, we do not resent others, blame heaven, or blame fate. The law of karma and retribution, the root of happiness and suffering. When speaking of Buddhism, people often think immediately of the law of karma and retribution, a fundamental principle governing the entire life of humans and all species in the universe. It is not just a philosophical theory, but an immutable truth. It points out that every action, word, and thought of ours today will leave a mark and create a result in the future, whether near or far, whether in this life or many future lives. Unlike beliefs that assume human fate is arranged by some deity, Buddhism asserts that every difference between person and person, from living conditions, physical appearance, and wisdom to blessings or suffering, is the direct or indirect result of behaviors in the past. Some are born beautiful, intelligent, living in wealth, while others are poor, ugly, sick, or intellectually disabled. Those differences are not random or unfair, but are because each individual in the past sowed wholesome or unwholesome causes and now must reap the corresponding retribution. The law of karma is not limited to one life, but stretches across many lives, from the past to the present and continuing into the future. It operates like a continuous chain of links, not deviating by even an inch. Therefore, those who understand and deeply believe in the teaching of karma will always know to look back at themselves, living responsibly with every thought and action. Instead of blaming others or complaining about fate, it is regrettable that in modern life, not everyone perceives this. Many people are absorbed in chasing fame, power, and money. They disregard methods, snatching, even slaughtering each other to achieve personal goals. But when sowing unwholesome seeds like greed, selfishness, and hatred, they are also silently creating bad retributions for their own future. Conversely, those who thoroughly understand the law of karma will never seek happiness through unrighteous paths. They know that true happiness does not come from taking but from giving. Serving and living kindly, they always try to plant beautiful seeds from small actions like a friendly smile, a sincere word, to helping others and keeping the mind pure. Those deeds not only bring joy to themselves, but also create a foundation for blessings later on. Understanding the law of karma is also a way for humans to live peacefully, no longer resenting people, blaming life, or complaining to high heaven. Because everyone will reap what they have sown. No one can suffer for us, nor can anyone bestow blessings if we do not make the effort to practice and live the right path ourselves. Precisely from that awareness, humans become free, not bound by prejudice or destiny, but able to actively transform their lives in a positive direction. The law of karma carries no punitive nature, but is a fair and compassionate lesson of the universe. It encourages humans to live toward goodness, nurture self-respect, and contribute to building a harmonious, fair, and loving society. When each individual knows how to sow wholesome causes, the whole community will enjoy sweet fruit. Therefore, understanding and living according to the law of karma is the key to opening the door to true happiness. That is the path that the Buddha and Bodhisattvas have walked, leaving behind light to illuminate the way for all species to cross the sea of suffering and proceed to the shore of peace. The couple who were vegetarian and chanted Buddha's name for 40 years, yet fell into hell after death. The story makes everyone startle, revealing the karma of 3 lives. A husband and wife were vegetarian and chanted Buddha's name for 40 years. Yet after passing away, they fell into hell. Hearing this, perhaps you find it as hard to believe as I do. These two people outwardly looked very virtuous, were lifelong vegetarians, chanted sutras, released animals, and did countless good deeds. Yet, deep in their hearts, they hid small but serious faults. Those faults were hidden in every corner of daily life. The story begins when the couple was young. Back then, they were very weak, frequently sick with major and minor illnesses continuously, and life was extremely miserable. One day, a friend visited and advised, I hear that being vegetarian helps the body become pure and healthier. You too should try it and see. Hearing this, they half believed, half doubted, but because illness tormented them so much, and there was no other way, they decided to give it a try. Unexpectedly, just a few months later, a miracle happened. Their complexions became brighter, illnesses gradually vanished, and their bodies felt significantly lighter. From then on, they made a vow. From now on, we will be vegetarian for life, both to be healthy and to accumulate merit, hoping to be reborn in the Pure Land later. So they kept a strict vegetarian diet, not touching meat or fish. Even fish sauce or lard was absolutely avoided. In their house, they set up a Buddha altar. Morning and night they chanted sutras together, hands holding rosary beads, mouths ceaselessly reciting Namo Amitabha Buddha. 40 years passed, day after day the same. People in the neighborhood looked on and praised. These two are truly examples of practice. Being vegetarian and chanting Buddha's name persistently like that, their merit is surely deep. In the future, they will certainly ascend to the Buddha realm, but the truth inside was not like that virtuous appearance. Everything seemed smooth until they entered their 70s. Fate brought a great challenge. One day, the wife suddenly fell ill, her heart weakened. She couldn't catch her breath, her chest felt pressed by a stone. Walking a few steps made her exhausted. Going for a checkup, the doctor shook his head. This disease is hard to cure. One can only use medicine to hold out. The couple fell into despair. Then an old friend visited and whispered, I heard that taking fresh turtle blood cooked with traditional medicine and drinking it can cure heart disease. You to think it over carefully. These words were like a lightning strike, leaving their hearts in turmoil. That night the two sat before the Buddha altar, the atmosphere heavy. The wife leaned back in the chair, breathing heavily. I have been vegetarian for 40 years. Why do I contract this disease now? Could it be that Buddha does not protect me? The husband looked down at the rosary beads, silent for a long time, then said, but if we don't save you, you won't make it. Buddha is compassionate. Surely he won't blame us. The wife shook her head, tears falling. But killing living beings is a heavy sin. Is 40 years of practice to be wasted? The husband replied, if we don't kill this turtle and you die, what meaning is there for me to live alone? Should I let you die? The two argued back and forth, their hearts torn by two streams of thought. The wife recalled the years of refusing meat and fish, eating only vegetables and beans to keep the precepts. The husband couldn't stand his wife's moans, thinking that not saving her was inhumane. They struggled fiercely, both afraid and conflicted. Finally, the wife choked out, if it truly can save me, then do it, but we will bear this sin together. I won't let you do it alone. The husband held his wife's hand tightly, nodding. All right, we decide together. We do it together. The next morning, before the sky was fully light, the two wore raincoats to cover their faces and sneaked to the market. The husband stood in front of the stall selling turtles, hesitated for a long time, saw few people around, and only then dared to whisper, give me a small one. The seller handed over a turtle. The wife tremblingly received it and put it in the basket. Then both hurriedly returned home. On the way, they were silent, only hearing the sound of the turtle struggling in the bag as if questioning their conscience. Arriving home, they placed the turtle on the kitchen table. Standing and looking for a long time, the husband picked up the knife, his hand shaking so much he almost dropped it. The wife stood by, mouth mumbling, Namo Amitabha Buddha. Tears streamed down. The husband gritted his teeth. Do it quickly. Don't let it suffer long. The wife closed her eyes gently. Yes, do it. I agree. The husband struck down. Blood spurted out, staining his hands, making him panic so much he threw the knife away. The wife tremblingly held a bowl to catch the blood, then both cooked it with the medicine. When the wife drank the first sip, her face pale, she whispered, Buddha, please forgive us. After that, her illness did improve a bit, but every time they passed the altar, both bowed their heads, not daring to look straight at the Buddha statue, their hearts heavy as if carrying stones. Besides killing the turtle, they hid another fault. The two opened a small rice shop to make a living. Every time they weighed rice for customers, they often cheated by reducing 20 to 30 grams, such a small amount. Customers taking it home wouldn't notice. The husband often said, doing business without being a little clever, how can we survive? Just a tiny bit. Who cares? The wife also agreed. We have been vegetarian at chanting Buddha's name. We are already gentler than others. This small matter is nothing. Once an old lady leaning on a cane came to buy rice, tremblingly taking out a few small bills from her pocket. Give me just half a kilo, enough to cook a pot of porridge. The husband looked at her ragged clothes, thinking to himself, so poor, reducing a bit won't matter. So he habitually acted quickly, the scale showing half a kilo, but actually only over 400 grams. The old lady received the rice, thanked them profusely, and left. The two felt no remorse, even finding it normal. Over time, this small trick became a habit. They did not expect that little bit of greed was silently eroding their merit. Furthermore, the way they treated small creatures in the house was also worth pondering. They often offered rice to the 3 jewels on the altar, but geckos often crawled up to eat stealthily. At first, they just shooed them away, but eventually they felt annoyed. One day the husband saw it climbing onto the altar again and shouted angrily, "This animal keeps stealing Buddha's rice. Truly hateful." The wife added, "That's right, the food we offer, and it dares to compete. Truly outrageous." Then that day, when the gecko crawled into the altar drawer, the husband slammed the drawer shut, trapping it inside, even laughing. "Let's see how you eat now." A few days later, opening the drawer, the gecko was dead dry, its body shriveled and curled up, eyes still wide open as if looking at them. The wife frowned, so smelly, and threw it away to be done with it. The husband took the carcass, threw it into the trash can, mumbling, "Deserved it. Who told you to be gluttonous?" They never thought that small life was also a sentient being. Their malice and heartlessness went against the compassion of Buddhism. And what about releasing animals? They were very enthusiastic. Every month they called on neighbors to contribute money to buy birds to release. Standing in the middle of the field, they chanted sutras, faces solemn, releasing each bird from the cage. But they didn't notice that those birds, having been locked in tight cages for several days, were very weak. Released, many flew only a few steps before falling down, flapping a few times and dying. Seeing that, the husband even comforted, "It's okay. Then dying is also liberation. We still have the merit." The wife nodded, "That's right. We have released animals so many times. Surely Buddha sees it all. More fearfully, to have birds to sell. People set traps everywhere. Birds that were inherently free to fly became victims, losing their lives because of this animal release. They thought they were doing good deeds, but behind it was a great killing karma. Their good heart was just an outer shell hiding ignorance and selfishness. On the day the couple passed away and stood before King Yama, he opened the book of karma and judged. You were vegetarian for health, not for compassion. Killing the turtle for blood was for your own benefit, not for sentient beings. Weighing rice short was greed not yet ceased. Trapping the gecko to death was heartless and meaningless. Releasing life causing death was fake goodness, real evil. Your chanting a Buddha's name was only words on the lips, the heart was never pure. How can you avoid hell? Hearing this, the two cried bitterly, finally realizing that those small matters had accumulated into great sins. Have you ever asked yourself what truly belongs to us? This body is temporary. Fame, money, love, and hate all are just like bubbles at the rapids, like clouds drifting across the sky. The Buddha once taught, all formations are impermanent. This is the law of arising and passing away. All conditioned phenomena are impermanent. Having birth means having death. If we understand that principle, what is left to cling to? What is left to suffer over? Today we have the opportunity to sit together again, to reflect on a profound truth of human life. Life is a temporary realm. Everything is impermanent. Born into this world, everyone wishes for happiness, but few escape suffering. We suffer for things lost, hurt for things not yet arrived, entangling ourselves in invisible strings of attachment. Suffering is not caused by life, but by our mind's attachment. When we can let go of attachment, when we clearly see impermanence, we can walk lightly on the journey of enlightenment. We cling to money, status, feelings, fame, and then when they are lost, we suffer immensely. But if we understand that everything is just a temporary realm, having then losing, meeting then parting, our hearts will be much lighter. Life is just a temporary realm. Don't make yourself suffer. Affinities in life are inherently fragile, like a passing breeze. When affinity comes, cherish it. When affinity goes, happily let go. Buddha taught that all phenomena arise from conditions. When conditions come, they connect. When conditions end, they dissolve. Attachment only brings suffering. Letting go is liberation. In love, suffering is not because others betray us, but because we haven't learned how to let go. If we keep hugging the past, we are just imprisoning ourselves in pain. When the mind lets go, the heart is immediately at peace. People often think that accepting impermanence is giving up, is being indifferent to life. But it is not so. Accepting impermanence is for us to know how to cherish what we have more. If we know a flower will eventually fade, we will treasure it even more when it is in full bloom. If we understand that a loved one will eventually leave us, we will spend more time loving, so as not to have regrets when they are gone. When the mind dwells in the present, when understanding that everything will eventually change, we will no longer be made miserable by fluctuations in life. Like a lake without ripples, like a clear blue sky, our mind will also be quietly peaceful, not entangled in regrets or sorrows. Impermanence is not something to fear, but is the very key helping us open the door of liberation from suffering. Human life is like a dream. Life is like a breeze passing by, but humans always immerse themselves in desire, craving things beyond their ability. The poor hope to be rich, the rich want power, those with power hope for immortality. Just like that, the wheel of ambition never stops, and that very ambition pulls humans into the endless sea of suffering. Humans often mistakenly think that just by achieving what they want, happiness will naturally come. But have we ever asked ourselves, once achieved, are we truly satisfied, or do we then continue to crave more? A person hopes for a roof to cover against rain and sun. Once having it, they hope for a bigger house. Once having a big house, they want more land and wealth. Greed is bottomless like a deep pit. The more you fill it, the emptier it gets. Only when we know enough can the mind be at peace. Sufficiency does not lie in external material things, but in satisfaction and contentment from within. A person who knows enough amidst poverty is happier than a wealthy person whose heart is always uneasy. A bowl of simple rice eaten with appreciation is more delicious than delicacies eaten with a heart full of worrying. Only when we let go of some ambition, accept what we have, and cherish the present moment, can we escape suffering. Because letting the mind be bound to unworthy things, an unintentional look, a thoughtless word, a trivial action can make our mind wobble and sorrowful for many days. Humans easily let their minds be bound to trivial things and then torment themselves. We suffer because of criticism, get annoyed because of injustice, suffer because of losses, without realizing that all those things are just like clouds drifting in the sky, appearing briefly then passing away. Worrying excessively only exhausts us without helping change anything. The most important thing is still living well with the present, because the future is something ungraspable, but today is passing by every moment. The future hasn't arrived, but if we live well today, tomorrow will naturally arrange itself. Fame and feelings, past and future, all are just waves in the human heart. When we cling to them, we are like a small boat swept away by waves, unable to find the shore. But if we know how to let go, accepting everything coming and going as a natural law, then no matter how big the waves are, the mind remains calm like an autumn lake without ripples. When affinity comes, happily receive. When affinity goes, gently let go. Every coming and going has its causes and conditions. When conditions converge, all things harmonize, people meet, blessings manifest. When conditions dissolve, all things change, separation occurs. One cannot force what you have in hand today. Body, wealth, kinship, fame, all are temporary affinities. They come when conditions are sufficient, go when conditions are exhausted. If clinging, trying to hold on, one inevitably invites suffering into the heart. What is ours was never ours. What is not ours will never belong to us. People, because of clinging to fame and profit, generate greed and love, fighting for superiority. When losing it, they suffer and grieve. People, because of clinging to feelings, become delusional, attached forever without letting go. Remember that every meeting in this world is just like waves in the ocean. People who once loved each other may one day have to part. When affinity is full, we meet. When affinity fades, we part. That is the natural order. If we keep regretting a person, a past love, it is no different than hugging a faded flower and crying while out there spring is still brilliantly blooming. People, because of clinging to the past, forever live in pain. But the past is just a shadow in the mind. It is no longer the reality of the present. No matter how much you regret or wish to turn back time, it cannot be done. Like a river that has flowed past, water gone cannot flow back to the source. Let the things that have passed be like drifting clouds, gently dissolving. People, because of clinging to the future, worry endlessly, but the future has not yet arrived. Why do we bind our minds in things that haven't happened? Like a seed in the ground. If there are enough good conditions, it will naturally sprout. Worrying or fear does not make the seed grow faster, but only makes our mind more troubled. Live fully in the present moment. When affinity comes, happily welcome it. Cherish what is there. When affinity goes, gently let go, no regret, no complaint. Just like a flower blooming when spring comes, silently falling when autumn arrives, without suffering, without entanglement. If knowing how to let go, the mind will naturally be at peace. If we no longer cling, this life will be as light as a flying cloud. Light up wisdom for yourself, so that in this temporary realm the mind remains still like an autumn lake, not moving, not shaking, peacefully walking through gains and losses, meetings and partings, understanding karma to live peacefully. In this life, nothing happens randomly. Everything we encounter, whether happiness or suffering, has its reason. The law of karma operates naturally, favoring no one, missing no one. If we live honestly, sincerely, we will receive peace. If we live selfishly, hurting others, we will encounter unsatisfactory things. Karma is not to punish anyone, but is just the natural operation of life. When facing difficulties, humans tend to complain and blame, but instead of asking, "Why do I suffer?" we should ask ourselves what we have done to lead to this result, understanding that we will reduce resentment and know how to change ourselves to create a better future. A person living in anger and jealousy all their life will only meet sorrow. A person knowing how to love and share will gradually see life become lighter. This life is always changing. Nothing is forever. What we have today may be lost tomorrow, but if we understand karma, we will no longer cling or worry too much. We understand that losing something may be because the affinity has ended, and instead of suffering, we learn to accept. Affinity comes, receive it. Affinity goes, gently let go. Living in accordance with karma is knowing how to adjust oneself, living honestly, being grateful for what one has, and accepting what cannot be changed. When understanding that, we will reduce troubles and find peace within our own souls. Letting go for the mind to be light. Letting go does not mean losing. That means liberation. Those who do not yet understand the Dharma often think that letting go is giving up what belongs to them, is loss, is suffering disadvantage. But actually, letting go in Buddhist teachings is not giving up life, but giving up the binding of the mind. Letting go does not mean being indifferent or cold to life, but living in the midst of life without letting the mind be bound by afflictions and worries. Sentient beings suffer because of attachment to material things. Fame, feelings, past, future, all are invisible ropes binding humans. Keep hugging, keep clinging, keep fearing loss, so that with every passing day the mind becomes heavier and more uneasy. The Buddha taught that if one wants to find peace, first one must know how to let go of greed, let go of hatred, let go of delusion, then the mind can be at ease. When the human heart is no longer disturbed by desires, anger, and resentment, naturally will feel light and serene. To let go, first one must contemplate the nature of all things. Everything in this world is formed by causes and conditions. And when conditions end, all follow that and vanish. Nothing permanently belongs to us, nor is there anything that remains unchanged forever. Like flowing water, like clouds in the sky, all just temporarily converge and then dissolve. If we understand this, we will no longer be stubborn, no longer suffer when losing something in life. Contemplating impermanence is also a way to practice letting go. Impermanence is the nature of the world. This body is impermanent. This wealth is impermanent. The relationships we have are also impermanent. Today we may be rich, tomorrow we may be empty-handed. The people we love today may not be with us tomorrow. If we cannot accept impermanence, we will forever drown in suffering. But if we understand that everything will eventually change, we will no longer fear or suffer because of loss. In life, we often suffer because we always want more than what we have. But when we know enough, we will no longer run after external things and lose inner peace. Contentment is not accepting life without striving to rise, but is knowing how to cherish what one has and not letting one's heart be dominated by endless desires. An important factor helping us practice letting go is nurturing a compassionate mind. When the heart is full of compassion, we will no longer hold on to anger and blame, no longer resent those who have hurt us. The person holding on to hatred is the person binding themselves in suffering. When forgiving, we not only liberate others, but also liberate ourselves. Knowing how to love, knowing how to forgive, our hearts will be lighter, no longer tormented by attachments. Letting go is not a matter of one morning or one afternoon, but is a persistent practice in daily life. Every day we contemplate to realize the unnecessary things we are trying to keep, little by little dropping them, little by little feeling lighter, until one day, when the mind is no longer entangled, no longer bound, we will see that life has inherently been peaceful for a long time. Life is inherently just a temporary realm, like clouds drifting in the sky, like water flowing through a stream. All will eventually pass. What we try to hold today, tomorrow may vanish. What we consider ours is actually just a temporary combination of conditions. If clinging, we suffer. If letting go, we are free. Only when understanding the impermanent nature of all things can we live lightly, unbound by sorrows. Let your heart be open, receiving everything like passing breezes. Coming, be happy. Going, be calm. Don't let worries and anger blur the peace in the mind. Hoping that after hearing this lecture, each person will find a little peace for themselves. Live like a flower in the midst of life, silently spreading fragrance, without caring about the wind carrying it away. Don't run after illusions of fame or bindings of the past and future. When the mind is no longer busy, when we learn how to let go of useless afflictions, that is the moment we truly touch true happiness. Please remember that the Buddha always taught that all things are impermanent. A human body is hard to obtain, and the true Dharma is hard to hear. Being born as a human is already a great blessing. Knowing Buddhism is an even rarer good affinity. Therefore, do not let life pass in ignorance. Live so that every passing day has meaning, so that when closing this life, we have no regrets.